I didn't want to record bands until I had a mentor or an internship to teach me the right way to do it, because I was afraid of failing, and I felt that if I found the safety net to teach me, that the likelihood of me failing would be less, therefore my rate of success would be higher. And that is just so far from the truth in a creative field. You're probably thinking, oh great, another audio guru. Why should I listen to them? My name is John Maciel, and 5 years ago I set out to make audio my full-time gig. I worked with people like Bo Rochelle, A.L. Levy, Finn McKinty, John Brown, and bands like Era, Moose Blood, Census Fail, Hail the Sun, and a lot more. Now I work with URM Academy and Riffhard, where I help the next generation of audio mixers, producers, and guitarists. In this video, we're going to talk about internships, what they're like, and if you're really ready for it. Getting started in any creative field can be difficult and scary because there isn't a predetermined path for most of us. As a creative, we all start somewhere and have to kind of figure it out along the way. Now, one way to expedite this process is an internship. And with an internship, sometimes people get the shit end of the stick without even meaning to, just because they're not prepared or they don't know exactly what they should be wanting out of an internship. And the goal of this video is to help some of you make the right calls when it comes to finding an internship. But it's really crucial to identify, are you looking for a mentorship or are you looking for an internship? Because they are not always the same thing. The reason picking either a mentorship or internship is so crucial is that being in the creative field, again, there's no roadmap. So if you don't have an idea of what you're hoping to get out of it and what exactly you're trying to do, you can get exhausted, burnt out, you're just not making the strides, or you're not taking the leaps that you wanted to do previously. So now that we've kind of figured out, okay, are you going for an internship or mentorship? Let's talk about the 5 questions that you need to ask yourself before you get into either one of these situations. All these questions will apply towards the same thing. And if you don't think about these things, the success rate of that internship or mentorship is going to be really, really low because you're not going in fully prepared of what you're trying to accomplish. These 5 questions are going to help you know if it's the right internship for you or if it's not. Question number 1, where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? What happens to so many other creatives that I know, right out the gate, they want to just get into an internship or find a mentor because they just want to learn from somebody to expedite the process. And yes, that's the whole goal. But the correct way to look at this, in my opinion, if you're not learning from someone who is at the level that you want to be at or higher, you're not going to achieve that thing. Otherwise, you're wasting your time and you're wasting their time. So if you're going out there looking for an internship or a mentorship, really ask yourself, is this person where I want to be at within 3 to 5 years? You need to be interning or mentoring under somebody who's at the level you want to be at within 3 to 5 years. And however you find that person, that should be ultimately your only goal, and you should have tunnel vision. Question number 2, how are your social skills? No, seriously, how are your social skills? Are you like me 5 years ago? Anytime you go to a house party or any type of event, you're so introverted that you're always finding a way to find a room or a sofa or something to kind of just tuck yourself away from because you don't want to interact with anyone. Even if they're family, you prefer just to be left alone. Anyone else? But unfortunately, that is something I had to slowly work on and get out of my comfort zone, because social skills in any creative field, you're in the customer service industry. You can't get away from communication and talking with people and going out and networking. I had a couple of my first interactions on my last internship where I just had that like weird out of body experience where I knew I was awkward, and the moment it was happening, I was regretting it. The whole social aspect of interning or mentoring scares the crap out of you. What I did to help myself was I first started off small, and I started going on walks to like a public park. And as I was walking, I would just look at people, make eye contact as I was walking by and say, hi, hello, hey, how's it going? How you doing? Literally doing these regular social communicating skills with people randomly walking by. And I slowly became comfortable with like, okay, it's not, in my head, it was a bigger deal than the actual action was. And most people were really, really nice. Every once in a while, you have someone who just is like, oh, get away from me, because they're also probably introverted or they just don't want to be talked to. That was my first step in getting over my like social anxiety, introvertedness. I still have it, but that was my first like, I need to get out of it. The second thing that I did was got some friends together, and when there was trivia nights at a bar or something for a TV show, we would just go. That way we're in a public area, we're with a bunch of other people, and everyone's yelling and screaming, so that type of behavior is okay, and this would get my extreme level up. Instead of being quiet and just subtle, if I was excited about an answer, it was okay to be excited, it was okay to yell. Just any event where it was opposite of the behavior that I would prefer to do by my natural state, and I would just put myself into these environments, and it would help so much. These are the 2 exercises I would recommend, and if you have an extroverted friend, bring them along with you, because they're the best support system to have in a situation like this. Because the way I saw it was sort of like a speed dating, where if I go and I fail at these human interactions, it's okay, because what's going to ultimately happen is I'm going to get better at it. So when I finally deal with people, it will be so much easier to do. To this day, I still struggle with it, but it is not as bad as it used to be because I actively work on it. And when I go out to any networking event, I'm always, hey, how you doing? My name is John Maciel. Nice to meet you. What do you do? What's your name? name, and I just go in straight for the introduction, and hopefully that helps. And if your social skills aren't there, again, practice that stuff and go out there and just nail it. All right, question number 3. How many hours can you really give to an internship that's paid or unpaid? If your answer is less than 20 hours a week, an internship probably isn't for you. And I don't mean that in saying you can't find one that's for less hours and get something out of it. But the truth is, from all the internships that I know from all my friends who are professionals in the creative fields that they're in, we all have the same common story of between 20 and 30 hours is roughly what we gave for the first few months before it turned into something real. And the reason is, once you find the right internship and mentorship, it's gonna take a little bit to find your groove. So you say like a month, 2 months, and you're finally starting to find your groove, and then you get 3, 4, 5, 6 months in, you're just nailing it. You're productive, you know how to, mingle, you're learning all these valuable skills. But if you're only doing less than 20 hours a week, let's say you're doing 10 to 15, you need to extend that out by, a whole year. So what you could do in 3 to 6 months, you're gonna need 6 to 12 months to essentially accomplish. And if that timeline's okay with you, that's 100% okay. Go find those internships, but you're gonna also, those type of internships are gonna probably not be the ones that expedite the whole process of career trajectory and everything as well. So that is a lot to consider. So let's say you figured out you can do 20 to 30 hours a week for an internship. Now you need to ask yourself, how are you going to use that internship time? And the reason it's important to know how many hours you can put into the internship, you are ultimately on someone else's clock. Someone else is giving up their time to mentor and or show you this skill set that you're desiring. And if you only have a finite amount of hours, they're less likely to give more to you. But if you're more there, they're more inclined to see the devotion that you're putting in, and you're around more often so that things just happen. They can ask more of you because they see you more. There's more rapport there. So that's a really crucial and important factor. Now, if you're doing 20 to 30 hours, and let's say it's an unpaid internship, can you actually afford it? And that's a question only you can answer. And that's also something that you need to keep in mind when you're discussing these internship parameters with whoever's bringing you on, is how long does this stay unpaid for? I know I have to work to earn it, but what are ways we can work around this? And for myself in the audio world, there's earning credits on records for your work. There's using the studio at no cost, which usually there's a day rate, and then you bring in your own bands on days and times when there's nobody in there. There's, introductions to some of their endorsee companies and stuff, and you save money on gear and things of that matter. So there's a lot of cool ways that can pay off on the back end, and then eventually, you get on the payroll as well, and you work towards that. If you have that same if you have that understanding, it's very feasible and doable. And make sure that when you're doing these type of unpaid gigs, that you're actually getting the experience too. You're not just around doing coffee and cleaning bathrooms. If anything, it's a bad internship that's unpaid. If all you're doing is cleaning, you're not dealing with clients, you're not in the room watching them work, edit, whatever it is, that's usually the first sign of a terrible internship, and to get out as soon as possible. Now, with the paid internship, keep in mind that they're probably fulfilling some sort of minimal educational credit. So you're gonna get so many hours that allocate towards your credit school. You're gonna get so many hours that allocate towards credit for school, and you're gonna get paid a certain amount, and the contract might only be for, usually they're about 6 to 12 months, depending on the semester, and the guarantee of it turning into something afterwards, or you interacting with anybody of substance at the place, usually not too high. That's why you don't hear a lot of stories of people saying, go do an internship at this school because they put you into internships and it turns into something. Those stories are so few in between. So make the decision for yourself. How many hours can you put into an internship? What are you looking to get out of it? And is it something where you can mingle and find some way to finesse the system to work in your favor? Or is it something that's just not right for you and you're better off just waiting and doing it yourself, and or just writing that ship out while you look for another ship? Question number 4, and it piggybacks on question number 3. What exactly do you want out of this mentorship or internship? When I went in for my 3rd internship, once I got to that point, I knew I wanted to be working on records. I wanted to be the guy that made a name for himself out of nowhere, essentially. And I know that maybe sounds superficial, but I just wanted to prove to myself and a lot of peers in my circles that I was as good as I just knew I was. But I also wanted to work on bigger records to get that experience, because I selfishly have always wanted to just produce my own records. I got into audio so I could produce my own records, and I could do it at a level like a professional. So that was like my whole goal, was learn how to make these records, learn how to make these sounds, and also just see what the business side of all this was. And I knew that the only way to do that was to find a mentor that was doing it at the level that I wanted to be at. I fortunately was able to get an internship with Bo Rochelle, the guitar player of Sailsin, who also happened to be the guitar player of like my all-time favorite band, which is just really weird all into its own. It went from a mentorship, internship, relationship, and one of the first things that was different about this internship was we had a sit-down conversation about expectations, because he wanted to know what I was expecting from the internship and what I wanted and what I was looking for, and if I had any past experiences with internships, and he wanted to just really fill me out and engage. And we set the expectation and the tone right then and there. And that internship later led to what would become an assistant engineer position, and now it's turned into like a real friendship, like a pure friendship. And I like to think that when we had that first initial conversation, that set the tone for where our relationship is now and what I got out of that experience. Because from what I've gathered from most of my friends in the industry and their own mentors is they didn't have any similar conversations or hangouts or exactly expectation. It was like, here's what I'm looking for, this is the job, the gig, do you want it? Yes, cool, do this. Like, it was very transactional and not relationship based, because if your expectation is not the reality set on jump, it's not going to happen. It's just, if you get a client that's only willing to pay you $100 and then they come back and you're expecting them to pay you $500, it's just not going to happen. That's not how humans work. It's a process, and if you set the expectation from day one what it needs to be and going to be, and there's no exception, then everyone is in agreement that this is what we're going to do. So with an internship or mentorship, you need to ask yourself, what are you looking to get out of it? And you have to have that conversation with whoever you're going with. You have to be very specific, not just, I want experience. Just wanting experience is going to be the one way to kill any drive that you have after some time looking for an internship or mentorship, because without the right guidance, you're just gonna burn out and you're gonna be mad. Trust me, avoid it, be specific as possible. If your goal, find a specialist in the field of what you're wanting to do and make sure that you're very specific and you're going to get the most out of that type of internship, mentorship experience. Question number 5, and this one hits home even for me because it is so true. Are you using an internship or mentorship as an excuse to just not get started? I'm guilty of this. I did this myself. I didn't want to record bands until I had a mentor or an internship to teach me the right way to do it, because I was afraid of failing, and I felt that if I found the safety net to teach me, that the likelihood of me failing would be less, therefore my rate of success would be higher. And that is just so far from the truth in a creative field, because it's not like working in a restaurant or some sort of repetitive business where it is the same thing no matter what happens. There's transactions, and those transactions will be the same. In a creative field, you're dealing with people. What one band, one client might want is not what the next one will want. Maybe you have ones that are similar, but project after project after project, the variables will change and you can't predict those. So going to an internship or mentorship thinking that that's going to teach you everything you need to know so that you're safeguarded is actually the wrong way to go about it. I wish I would have started so much sooner, because I would have gone further ahead so much faster. Don't let an internship or mentorship stop you from just getting started. Just go out there, fail, and while you're failing, just know that you're actually getting better and learning from these mistakes. And then when you go and you actually find this mentor or this internship, you're gonna be more experienced than most people. Most people that I know that have gone that safety net route always end up falling behind people who have at least started the process instead of waiting to start. So if you're watching this video, take this as a cue to stop wondering what an internship's like. Stop wondering all these things. Ask yourself the first 4 questions and just go and start the thing while you're looking for an internship or mentorship. Don't wait. There's no sign. If you want to do something, especially in the creative field, there is no career path. There is no, here's a brochure on how to do this thing. Yes, there are classes on how to get your skill set better, but ultimately the business side of this on how to do it, it's going to be on you to figure that out. And you only learn these things by having, again, the internship or mentorship, but also from experience of your own. And you want to be able to draw from your own experiences as well, because you are you, and the way you like to do business may not be the way your internship or mentor, the way you like to do business may not be the same way that whoever you're doing your internship with or mentorship with does business. So knowing how you like to talk to clients, how you like to do things, your workflow are also crucial in being who you are and what's going to set you apart in the marketplace as well. So no more excuses, just get out there. So now that you've answered these 5 questions, you're ready to go out there, you're more prepared to go find the right internship or mentorship for you. You've really thought about it. You know who you want to go internship or mentorship under. Awesome. And I'm super excited for you. So thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.